Welcome back to the channel. This is Fix It All Paul, and today we are going to be fixing a fruit sauce. Not the kind of fix it that you thought you'd be getting, but there's no point in working on an empty stomach. And what I've got to go into this is I've got a couple of orchard apples. These are Cortlands that I bought. These two apples, I don't know what variety they are. They came off of an abandoned apple tree at the side of the road. They're really, really hard. I don't know what kind they are. They might not even be any good inside. We'll see. And we've got some Bosch pears and some Bartlett pears. And basically, we're just going to take those and peel them, get the seeds out of them, and put them in a pan, simmer them up, maybe add a little brown sugar and some cinnamon. Should be good. Alright, I got them all peeled up. These are the two that I picked off of a tree at the side of the road out in the middle of nowhere that had obviously been part of an orchard a long time ago. I thought I'd cut these open with you here. See what they look like inside. Oh boy. Those don't look so grand inside, do they? I did try a little piece of this one. Very, very tart, which might add a nice flavor to the sauce, but not the nicest looking apple inside. I think maybe we'll leave these out. They do look kind of gross. Don't know what kind they are, but that don't look very appetizing to me. Let me slice it one more, see what's going on. Yeah, they look pretty gross inside. Maybe if I got into them sooner in the season, I don't know. There might have been some better apples on that tree. But in any case, we'll cut these up and get them in a pan. I figure you probably know how this is all done, but I'll show you one anyways. Basically, I just cut them in half. Ooh, I want to slice myself there. Cut them in quarters. And then just take the knife, come down the center, right around the seed pod. And there you go. And you just kind of come down around the seed pod down to the end. There you go. Pretty quick, pretty easy. Same thing with the apples. Just cut them in half, cut them in quarters, cut around the middle, and call it good. You don't have to be too picky. It does help to have a good sharp knife. And I'll be right back. Alright, so as you can see, we've got them all cut up. Got a little bit of waste on a plate, no big deal. And the rest are in the pan. Now the only trick, there's a couple tricks to this. One is that you want to start by turning the burner on, not high like that, but really quite down low, because there's no real liquid in the bottom of this, and I find if I add a little liquid to get it started, it turns out a little runnier than I want. But if I start with it real low, it has a chance to start cooking down a little bit, release some of the juice out of the fruit, which adds all the liquid it needs, and then you can turn it up a little tiny bit after that. So we'll just, like I say, we've got it on pretty low, and we'll leave that for a little bit and come back and show you what happens. The other trick to this is that I will end up probably adding some brown sugar, some cinnamon, but I like to add that after, because if you add the sugar at the beginning, it's easy to burn this to the bottom of the pan. And if you add it after the fact, when the fruit's all cooked down, more like a sauce, the sugar melts more evenly, and it's easier to get a handle on how it's flavoring it. And we'll be back when this is done. Once this has started cooking, I'll show you how I mash it down. All right, we are back here in the kitchen at the stove. Hope you'll excuse the noise from the roofers banging out there. And if you listen, you can hear it boiling a little bit. So we're just gonna push down in here with a masher. Nothing's really soft enough to mash yet. That'll get some more of this fruit right up against the flat of the bottom of the pan so that it can start softening up a little bit. I can already smell, it smells pretty good. Steaming a little bit. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, probably not. Yeah, just a little bit. And we'll check back in shortly. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes, maybe 15. You can see, we're starting to be able to see some liquid down in there. We'll just kind of mash those around some more. Get some of the fruit that hasn't cooked at all yet down in there. Not very complicated, you just got to give it a little time. Leave it down on low, so you don't want to burn it. And you can see it's starting to boil a little bit here and there. Just even on low. And cover back on and let that keep simmering. And we'll come back to it in a little bit and show you how nice this is getting. Alright, here we are. Quite a little bit later, maybe 20 minutes or so more. And as you can see, it's getting nicely mushed up. Now some of these pears that are in here are kind of solid. I think those are the Bartlett pears. And they'll take a while to cook down and get kind of soft. But I like including them because it gives the sauce kind of a nice little bit of meat in there, I guess you could say, kind of like lumpy mashed potatoes. You can see they've pretty well started to disintegrate now. If we take a spoon, you can see oh, I missed a piece of peel there. You can see that piece of pear is still kind of solid. There's still some pieces in here that haven't even really broken down yet. But they will. Just takes time. And we'll continue to just leave this on low. Let this cook. Probably another hour or so. And we'll come back and take a look at it. Okay, it's quite a while later. As you can see, this is simmering up nicely. The pears have all really broken down very well. A little bit watery, but that's okay. And we have here, stand this back up. We have here some brown sugar, which I keep in an old ball flip-top mason jar with a rubber seal because it stays nice and soft that way. We don't need to put too much in. There's not a real recipe here. You know, this is a teaspoon-sized spoon. A couple of heaping mounds like that should probably be more than enough. It doesn't just sweeten it, although it doesn't really need much in the way of sweetening. I did taste test it. But it adds a little bit of color, which you really can't see here on the camera. It's got a slightly brownish tint to it. A nice brownish tint to it. And then we also have some ground cinnamon. We're going to add a little bit of that. Again, there's not a real recipe. I'll just dust the top of it reasonably. Again, we'll just stir that in. That'll also add some color to it. And we'll continue to let this cook for quite a while, just to get all those flavors in there. Some people I think might want to put a clove in there, or maybe some allspice. I don't know what all else people prefer. But even on the camera you can see this has developed a decent color, although it's much darker than it looks on the camera. By about 3 shades, to be honest with you. We'll get all that cinnamon mixed in there, all that brown sugar. And we'll let it cook for a while with the cover off, just to thicken it up a little, get rid of some of the moisture out of it. And let me give this a taste test. It's probably too hot. Oh yeah, that'll burn me right up. In any case, well, that's about all there is to it. You just peel them and cut them up and simmer them down. And I mean, all total, this has probably been on the stove for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Not really exactly sure. But yeah, no point in fixing stuff if you're hungry. And this makes a very nice treat with breakfast. Served warm, it's really good. Just all around decent snack and good for you too. Oh yeah, that is some good stuff. Sometimes when I cook up apples and pears, I'll throw a couple of plums in there just for a slightly different flavor. It's not really a recipe. You could throw strawberries in there, you could throw cranberries in there. I suppose if you were prone, you could probably put raisins in there too. Whatever suits your fancy. Really tasty, cheap to make. Those pears I got off the scratch and dent produce shelf at the local grocery store. They were cheap. They were still pretty good. And that's all there is to it. Fruit sauce. Good for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to ring that bell, rate, comment, and subscribe.